Hello, my name is Lina Abe. I am from Federal University of Paraná, Brazil. I'd like to thank AEPMIN for the opportunity to participate at this conference, and I'd like to thank CAPES and the University of Paraná for supporting and funding our research. I'm with my colleagues Lima and Ramos to present our study entitled Laban Movement Analysis for Pianistas, an analysis to describe and interpret the expressive movements of an expert Brazilian pianist. Laban movement analysis refers to the investigation of how we can improve our movements and achieve efficient movements. Rudolf Laban was a dancer and choreographer who sought to understand the human movement and its meaning for an individual and for the community. It involves body balance, environmental interaction, and quality of the movement or effort factors. An effort is an internal impulse that gives rise to movement. The effort factor can be described in terms of movement weight, that can be light or strong, space, direct or indirect, time, sudden or sustained, and flow, bound or free. These effort factors are associated with mental efforts. Then, weight is associated with intention and what, space with attention and where, time with decision and when, flow with precision and how, according to Laban 1978. So, the aim of our study was to use Laban movement analysis as a tool to describe and interpret the expressive movements of an expert Brazilian pianist while performing a Brazilian samba-style piece. We conducted a case study that, according to IN 2015, is a method of investigation of a phenomenon through interview and observation in a real context. The participant was a Brazilian expert pianist with more than 20 years of professional experience as soloist, accompanist, and arranger, with recorded albums and awarded prizes. The musical material was a lead sheet of Capim by Djavan. The pianist participated voluntarily and signed the informed consent form. There were 2 practice sessions that lasted about 20 minutes each, with the application of Think Aloud protocol based on Erickson and Simon 1993. The verbalizations was transcribed using Elan program and the musical material using MusiScore. The categorization of the pianist's movement based on Laban movement analysis using En Vivo program. This is the original lead sheet of Capim by Djavan from Shediac 1997.
Capim do vale, vara de goiabeira, na beira do rio, paro para me benzer. Mãe d'água, sai pouquinho desse seu leito ninho, que eu tenho carinho para lhe fazer. Capim do vale, vara de goiabeira, na beira do rio, paro para me benzer. Mãe d'água, sai pouquinho desse seu leito ninho, que eu tenho carinho para lhe fazer.
The piece is divided in 3 sections. And this is the transcription of section A of the pianist's arrangement. Here is the performance of section A. The pianist's movements in effort factors were categorized as mostly lightweight, strong weight with body impulse and more intensity to emphasize accents, direct space focused on near space. His fingers were concentrated in the middle region of the piano, quick time with more rhythmic intensity, bound flow in a more controlled fashion. Next, the transcription of section B. In bar 43, at the beginning of the second system, there is an arpeggiated pattern in which he gives an impulse that stops in the resolution. Between the red brackets, he commented about a transition from a more rhythmic segment to a round-out segment. We can see that his movements begin to widen. In effort factors, his movements can be described as lightweight, transition between direct and indirect space with widened movements, transition between quick and stretched time with not so staccato articulation, transition between bound and free flow with precise rhythm and controlled phrasing. In section C, between the red brackets, the rhythmic density is lower and he used 6/8 figure to give the impression of rounded sound. His movements became wider than before and more circular, and he used pedal. His movements in effort factors were lightweight, indirect space with wider movements, sustained time with less rhythmic density and legato articulation, free flow in a fluent fashion. This is the complete performance of the 3 sections. So, based on Gambetta 2009, who analyzed the gestures of conductors, each effort factor was associated with elements of musical expression, such as lightweight, related to more rhythmic density, low to medium intensity, condensed phrasing, more precision, and light character. Strong weight to more rhythmic density, more intensity in syncopated accent patterns, a forceful or impulsive movement to emphasize the syncopated end of the phrase, for example, less precision, and dance-like character. Indirect space, less rhythmic density, longer articulation, pliant phrasing, less precision, broad character. Direct space, more rhythmic density, shorter articulation, restricted phrasing, more precision, focused character, sustained time, less rhythmic density, less accented legato articulation, stretched phrasing, less precision, calm character. Quick time, more rhythmic density, more accented, staccato articulation, articulated phrasing, more precision, excited character. Free flow, less rhythmic density, less accented, fluent phrasing, less precision, driven character. Bound flow, more rhythmic density, more accented, controlled phrasing, more precision, restrained character. These effort factors associated with mental efforts indicated that intention related to weight was more exciting and moving like dancing in section A. As the pianist commented, you don't necessarily have to know how to dance, but you think that someone can dance when you are playing. Attention associated with space focused in the closest space with no need to extend arms and legs in section A and broader with the extension of arms and legs in sections B and C. Decision with time, more density was linked to staccato and their accents with an articulated character, while less density was linked to legato articulation and the use of pedal with calmer character. Precision with flow, more restrained character in section A and more driven character in section C. For the pianist, the meaning of performing Brazilian popular pieces was of feelings of enjoyment and ownership. Thus, we could observe the pianist's coherent rhythmic movements based on synchronized behavior with musical patterns as culturally learned expressions, according to Clayton and colleagues 2020. And this can be related to sensory-motor schemes, that is, motor commands associated with the production of expected sound patterns, and expressive alignment, that is, musical patterns associated with action patterns and individual states influenced by culturally learned expressive patterns, according to Lehman, 2016. His intention to give a dancing feeling to the listeners can be related to give a feeling of being groove, that is a pleasant sensory-motor response of moving with the music, according to Yanata and colleagues 2012. The strategies to induce a sensation of groove were based on a regular pulse, more rhythmic density, expressive timing, and syncopation, according to Madson and Cyrus, 2014. The feelings of enjoyment and ownership as a meaning of performing Brazilian popular music can be associated with the capacity to self-organize sensory-motor processes with mental representations. Self-organization involves physical effort, arousal, sensory-motor predictions, self-control and agents, and emotional engagement, according to Lehman, 2016. One of the limitations of this study was to observe the extent an expert musician's thoughts and movements share collective expressions and the extent they are related to their individual interpretation, knowledge, and ability. The use of devices such as MIDI keyboard to capture musical sound and motion capture to record the participants' movements would help to analyze the data more accurately. In conclusion, understand expressive movements may provide a way of reasoning in terms of conscious movements to achieve the desired sound, based on Laban 1978. This information can help us to elaborate training programs focused on patterns of intentions associated with sensory-motor and mental mechanisms for an efficient learning and high-quality musical performance. Future studies may analyze different participants with different musical pieces and types of rhythm. They may provide more information about similarities and differences of individual performances. These movement categories may contribute to the development of the pianist and other musicians' expertise. These are our contact emails and our research group website for more information. These are the references used in this presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.